Hi guys, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. I figured that since this channel has been covering some really dark stories lately, that we could lighten it up a bit and talk about some of the dumbest criminals out there. So if you haven't liked, subscribed, or commented yet, please do so. It really helps me out, especially because I'm so small and it would mean so much to me. It really, really would. And with that, let's just get started. In February of 2016, this couple right here stole a Kindle from a car in the Reseda area of Los Angeles the day before Ash Wednesday. The following day, these hardcore Catholics went to get their ashes. They were so proud of their ashes that they took a picture of themselves with the stolen Kindle. What they didn't think about, though, was that the picture automatically uploaded to the actual owner's iCloud account. This is 22-year-old Melina Roberge and 28-year-old Isabel Lagasse. These two Canadians traveled the globe for 2 months. If you're wondering how these two girls in their 20s were able to pull these types of lavish vacations off, well, I can tell you that it wasn't from daddy's money. No. They pulled this one off by smuggling more than 30 million Canadian dollars worth of cocaine into Australia. Wondering how they were not able to slide under the radar? Well, that would be because they heavily documented their illegal activity on Instagram. And now these two bathing beauties face life sentences in prison. In 2015, 28-year-old John Morgan had just finished serving 5 years in prison for a bank robbery. In August of 2015, John walked into a savings bank in Asheville and robbed it, allegedly. John and his 24-year-old girlfriend Ashley then snapped a series of selfies with their newfound cash and posted the images to Facebook. These images were seen by a plethora of people, including the police. Guys, social media will get you every time. The pair was apprehended shortly after. In July of 2010, Dennis Hawkins shoplifted a toy gun. He then proceeded to put a blonde wig, fake breasts, clown pants, and headed over to his local bank in Swissvale, Pennsylvania. He sat in a waiting area until he felt the time was right. He then walked over to the woman teller with his new toy gun and demanded the money, passing the teller a note that read, "This is a holdup. Do not put no dry packs in no money because I will see your family and also your kids." CCTV then shows Hawkins hiding behind a tree with pride over pulling off this genius act, imagining that he was in the clear because police would be looking for a woman, right? Well, maybe if Hawkins had remembered to shave off his brown goatee. Hawkins' day would just continue to get worse after he opens his bag of cash and a red dye pack explodes. That sucks. Sucks to be you. With Hawkins now realizing he better get the hell out of Dodge, he decides to carjack an innocent woman. I guess when it rains it pours, though, because unfazed by Hawkins, the woman got out of her car with her keys and called the police. When police showed up, they found Hawkins covered in red dye with the wig and toy gun stuffed down his clown pants, but with the fake boobs still on. Hawkins would tell police that he found the money and even take them to the dye pack exploding tree. Not surprisingly, Hawkins was arrested and held on $230,000 bail. In 2008, 18-year-old Ruben Zarat walked into a muffler shop in Chicago planning to rob it. Unfortunately, when he showed up, the money was locked in a safe, and the cashier let him know that the only person that could open the safe was the manager, and he was not in the shop at the time. So Ruben decided it would be best to leave his phone number with the employee and instruct him to give Ruben a call when the manager comes back to the store. Can't stop it. Why did you think this would work? The cashier called police, who instructed him to call Ruben and let him know that his manager had returned. Poor Ruben got more than he expected when he showed up to the store for his stolen money. In October of 2009, police received a call that 2 men wearing hooded sweatshirts with painted faces had tried to break into a home in Carroll, Iowa. Police were given a description of the vehicle, and when they caught up to them and pulled over their car, they definitely got more than they bargained for, because these two crooks, 23-year-old Matthew McNelly and 20-year-old Lee Miller, had used black Sharpie to cover their faces. The two were charged with attempted burglary, and Matthew McNelly was charged with driving while intoxicated. They even posed for their mugshots with their DIY masks still intact. Guess it's safe to say that this case was very quickly closed. August 2017. 20-year-old Kenyoni threatened and robbed his roommate at gunpoint in Abilene, Texas. He duct taped the roommate to the bed with his hands and feet and then proceeded to steal $80. The man was able to free himself and run to a neighbor's house where he called police. When police arrived at the home, they found Kenyoni sleeping on the couch with his handgun in his lap. He was promptly arrested and bail was set at $60,000. When one thief reached into the window of a parked car in Sydney, Australia and grabbed a bag, to say he got more than he expected would be a major understatement. This would be because the thief reached his hand into Brad McDonald's car. McDonald was a professional snake catcher and had just caught a highly venomous snake from an underground car park in Sydney. The thief surrendered himself to cops to get away from the snake. 2 officers in Detroit, Michigan were demonstrating their patrol car's felon locating system to kids during an educational lesson. That's when a man named R.C. Gatlin walked up to officers to ask them about how it works. Officers asked Gatlin to borrow his license for the demonstration, and when they ran his license through the system, they found out that he was wanted for a burglary from 2 years prior and arrested him. 18-year-old Peter Addison from Manchester, UK, and his friend smashed crockery and let off fire extinguishers. Not only did he write his name all over the building in black marker, but he also left his gang's name on the wall, the Adlington Massive. So either Addison wanted to get caught or he's just that dumb. He has yet to confirm. When a female in Somerset, Massachusetts decided to rob a home, it wasn't hard for police to catch up to her, and that would be due to the ankle monitor with GPS, courtesy of police. Oh God. During her probation from a prior breaking and entering case. In 2001, Zachary Tentoni from Boston snatched $40 from a woman. In the process of fleeing the scene, he left behind a bag that contained his birth certificate and a letter from his mama. In 2012, Michael Baker from Jenkins, Kentucky, decided to pose for a photo holding up his middle finger and siphoning gas from a car. The amateur crook then decided to post the picture to his Facebook page. Guys, stop posting to social media. You are the worst crooks ever. After the photo went viral, the police came a-knocking and Baker was arrested. When Frank Blake's second and third wives showed up to visit him in a Virginia jail where he was serving time, police realized that he didn't divorce his second wife before marrying his third. A deeper dive proved that he hadn't divorced his first wife either. But things got really bad for Blake when the courts added extra time to his sentence and polygamy to his rap sheet. When Albert Jackson Dowdy broke into a home using a paint can to smash the window, he didn't think that much about it. Unfortunately for him, the paint can broke open. Still not thinking much about it, Dowdy stole oatmeal and a can of tuna. On his way out, he stepped into the paint. Needless to say, it didn't take long for police to catch up to him. They followed the footprints to a nearby hotel where they found Dowdy enjoying his tuna and oatmeal. A group of men walked into an e-cigarette store at 3 p.m., demanding money. The store owner, knowing he couldn't fight off the group of men, told them to come back at 6 as there would be much more money in the register. The men talked to the store owner for approximately 15 minutes and then left. That's when the store owner called police and let them know what was going on. Even though the cops doubted that the robbers would be back, saying nobody's that dumb, they decided to appease the owner and hang around the store in plain clothes. To the officer's surprise, people are actually that dumb. And when the robbers returned, officers were waiting for them. On November 27, 2012, 19-year-old Hannah Sabata robbed a local bank at gunpoint and got away with it. I suppose that would have been the end of her story, except for the fact that Sabata decided it would be a good idea to post a video on YouTube titled Chick Bank Robber, where she admits to stealing a car and driving it to Waco in order to pull off the robbery. She goes on to explain in her video how she managed to get away with $6,000 worth of cash and even holds up the keys to the stolen car. You deserve to be caught. You deserve it. You deserve to be caught because you're that dumb. So it should come as no surprise that police very quickly caught up to her and placed her under arrest after finding the stolen money. Hannah has been serving her 10 to 20 year sentence since June of 2013. This is 48-year-old Eric Termel. On August 25th, 2020, Eric walked into a bank in Joliet, Quebec, armed with a knife, and handed the cashier a note with his demands. When the cashier did not work fast enough to obey his demands, Termel left the bank angrily. What the bank robber didn't realize was that he wrote his demands on his business card, which made it fairly easy for police to track him down. Even worse, this is not Termel's first attempt at making bank robbing a career. In 2012, Termel took a taxi cab to rob 3 banks. After the third robbery, Termel ended up hiding out in a police officer's apartment. Termel, stick to your day job. In March of 2012, 27-year-old Albert Bailey of Bridgeport, Connecticut, was either pressed for time or his obsessive-compulsive disorder had kicked in, and he wanted to assure that everything was in place. Whatever the reason, Bailey called the bank that he was planning to rob ahead of time to make sure everything was in order. Bailey is the first bank robber in history to phone ahead to a bank he was planning to rob to tell them to have his money ready for him. Gee, can't imagine why. When Bailey arrived at the bank, police were waiting to arrest him and his 16-year-old accomplice, but not before the dye pack exploded.
A lot of people talking about this video tonight. It shows a woman hurling a chair off of a balcony at a downtown condo, a clearly dangerous act that has police now trying to track her down. Investigators believe they know when and where this happened. Chris Glover is live tonight outside of the building at Harbor and York. And Chris, police trying to identify the woman in that video.
The first thing that jumps out at you with the video is just how dangerous it is. The chairs landed not far from where I'm standing. Busy sidewalk. There's lots of vehicles around here as well. But the other thing that jumps out at you is the woman's face. She doesn't shy away from the camera, not even a little bit. And that has some of the people who live around here thinking that she may not even live here. The video of a woman tossing a patio chair off the balcony of a Toronto high-rise takes your breath away. People are stunned as they see it for the first time.
It's ridiculous. Why risk people's lives for a moment of just, I don't know, internet fame, essentially?
Below that balcony, the Gardner Expressway and lots of foot traffic.
That's a bit of an eye-opener. I think there's levels, and that's definitely way over the line.
Police think it was 2 chairs found crumpled in a heap at the base of the building.
It's crazy. I don't know what is going on in people's head.
Police think it happened Saturday morning at Maple Leaf Square condos.
Seems lower. Yeah, it's lower. It's lower, yeah.
Glenn DeMel has lived on the 47th floor for a year and a half.
Pretty disturbed by it, to be completely honest. You know, it's extremely dangerous and also very selfish of that person to do that. It makes me kind of lose faith in humanity.
Sadly, it's not the first time. Last year in Vancouver, a man in his 50s was arrested for tossing furniture from his 19th floor apartment. And the year before that, an Ontario man in his 30s was charged with mischief after allegedly throwing cinder blocks from a highway overpass.
Public outrage is extremely high. I'm getting calls every other minute on this.
Tons of calls into Toronto police on this one, but no one has the woman's identity.
What their intent was still remains to be determined. We know at least there was one other person because somebody was holding the camera.
Since no one seems to know who the woman is, there's speculation from some residents she's a short-term renter, perhaps Airbnb.
That's, again, an ongoing concern in this building, is that I noticed that there are a lot of faces that I haven't seen before.
Also talked to police about those other 2 cases that I referenced in the story, the one from the Pickering man throwing the cinder blocks and then that case in Vancouver. And they said that in those cases, mischief charges were laid. So if they are able to track down the woman in this video, that's likely the charge that she would face as well, Dwight.
February 12th, 2019. Jason Mcenroe walked into Bangor Savings Bank on Waterville Commons Drive, brandishing a handgun, robbed the bank, and fled. After running across 4 lanes of traffic and into the parking lot of a Chinese restaurant, Jason slipped on the ice and fell right in front of a police lieutenant who just happened to be parked there at the time. Talk about bad luck. During the fall, the stolen money and the handgun fell out of Jason's jacket and spilled onto the parking lot. Police Lieutenant Glenn Lane got out of his car and tackled Mcenroe. 37-year-old Jason was arrested on charges of robbery and terrorizing. He was also on probation at the time for burglary. He was taken to Kennebec County Jail and held on $25,000 bail.
All right, Nelson Walker? Yes, ma'am. There you are. All right, you're charged with stealing a Dolphin jersey? What kind of work do you do? Public defender?
As to Mr. Walker, respectfully, Your Honor, we're going to be raising probable causes.
As to what?
As to this being a felony, because the allegations are an observation of observing the defendant and co-defendant put on a dolphin hats. The officer says A and then says hats, so there's an issue as to whether it's two hats or one hat, but clearly the allegations are the co-defendant placed two.
This ain't the one, young.
No?
No, ma'am. It show on that I ain't took no jersey. I ain't took no jersey.
In September 2008, police are called to a Waffle House restaurant in Memphis. 32-year-old James Ryan handed his waitress a $100 bill to pay for his meal. Only problem was that when James was printing the bogus bills, he put Abe Lincoln on it instead of Benjamin Franklin. Ryan was charged with forgery and held on $25,000 bail.
Okay, you have to stop the Q-tip when there's resistance.
Claudio Da Silva was serving a 73-year, 10-month prison sentence in Brazil for dealing narcotics. According to police authorities, he had his 19-year-old daughter visit the prison and then disguised himself as her and attempted to walk out. He had several visitors on several different occasions bring him a mask, long black wig, women's clothes, a bra, and glasses. When visiting hours ended, Claudio attempted to leave with the other visitors, but was very quickly stopped. 8 people, including his daughter, were all arrested.
Tira a peruca dele. Isso. Tira mais.
Casaco. Não, casaco.
Tira a roupa. Tira o casaco.
Pra poder mostrar a camisa.
Tira o casaco, preso.
Casaco, preso. Agora não é hora de fazer pirraça.
Não, eu não vou virar.
Então, tira isso aí, pô.
Eu vou virar ajuda na mão de vocês.
Não, ninguém vai te encostar. Tira se alguém tivesse te encostar na mão. Tira o casaco. Tira o casaco. Tira o casaco. Não vou ficar. Tira o casaco. Isso.
É só tirar a roupa.
Caminha se tirar normal. Não tem esculacho.
É geral, pô.
Ninguém tá te fazendo nada, pô.
Sem esculacho.
Não.
Devagar.
Calma aí.
Isso.
Bota de volta o.
Não, tem que tirar. Tá bom, tira a máscara.
Só um minuto. Pera aí. É isso, não tem esculacho não.
Qual é o teu nome?
Ruben Da Silva. Qual a cela? B7.
Realmente foi um ato de desespero. Foi um ato de desespero do preso. Ele tem uma condenação de 73 anos, recebeu mais uma condenação de 25 anos. Foi um ato de desespero dele, para tentar sair pela porta da frente, né? Mas graças à expertise do servidor penitenciário que estava lá no momento, evitou que isso ocorresse. Isso nós ainda estamos investigando, mas tudo leva a que foi através de uma grávida, que eles estão usando o recurso agora de mulheres grávidas para tentar ingressar com material ilícito, porque a grávida não pode ser submetida ao scanner por causa da radioatividade com o feto. Então eles agora estão utilizando, os criminosos estão utilizando as grávidas para fazer esse tipo de trabalho sujo. Não, quase conseguiu fugir não, ele conseguiu sair de dentro do pátio de visita até a portaria. Na portaria, de imediato, pela expertise do servidor, ele foi identificado. Porque se confere a foto, a assinatura, ele assina, a visita assina um livro quando ingressa, assina quando sai. Então, logo de cara, o servidor olhou, perguntou se estava passando mal. Quando ele começou a conversar, tentando disfarçar a voz, o servidor já identificou que era uma possível fuga, já se separou e verificou que realmente era um preso tentando fugir disfarçado de mulher.
In December of 2011, Jason Hamelick and Brian Johnson from Madison, Wisconsin, robbed a Target store. They fled to the car carrying bags stuffed with electronics. Immediately afterwards, they had a very long conversation bragging about what they stole where they were going to sell the goods, and describing the car that they were in for 54 minutes straight. They even mentioned that police would be looking for a blue Dodge Durango without license plates. When the pair parked, they were instantly surrounded by police. How? Well, one of the wannabe robbers butt-dialed 911 and police heard everything. In October of 2016, this man right here walked into a furniture store and stole window blinds that he decided to stuff under his coat. CCTV footage shows him in the elevator trying to maneuver the blinds in his coat, pushing them down into his trousers and covering the tip with his hood. When staff approached him, he dropped the blinds and made a run for it.